What is up? Need for Speed Racers. It is I, your wheelman, Alex Cornnut. Billion Dollar Builds, episode 4, where I build every car in the game, spend $1 billion, and that way, no matter what car you want, no matter what class it fits into, I've got the most optimized version of that for at least horsepower and grip setup, and we're going to get some drift and off-road in there as well. Let's dig into it. Let me show you what we have for the Bel Air. The Chevrolet, the boat, which is actually deceptive. I really, by looking at it, premonition, you're like, this car is very heavy. It's really not as heavy as a lot of other cars. For reference, the Bel Air weighs 1568 in-game value. That's usually converted to kilograms, so it's pretty close. The Ferrari LaFerrari, or the Ferrari FXXK, for example, it's 1405, and the 458 Spider is 1535. So this being 1568, it's not really that much heavier. It's kind of like on par with those. And the Chevrolet Camaro, the Z28 we just got done building, that one is 1732. So this is lighter than the Camaro, but it doesn't handle that way. So I guess in-game stats can be a little deceptive, but this gets up and goes a little better than what you would expect for its size. We'll start with B-Class. Let's dig into it. The engine that we use for the B-Class build is the first engine, the stock motor, the 4.3 liter V8. 162 brake horsepower when we start, and we go up a long ways from there. For the parts, you're doing Elite Platinum induction, you're doing Iron Basic ECU, Super Gold fuel system, Sport Bronze exhaust, and then Elite Platinum Roots supercharger. Sport Bronze nitrous. This is one of the few times where I'm going to do this particular set of suspension. So we are using the Elite Platinum regular suspension, not the road or the off-road, but just the regular. It's a big trade if I put the road suspension in there. It's hard to pull those 5 points out of it and make it fit in B-Class. I had to take a lot of power out of the car to make it work. And for me, that wasn't a good trade. So we're running regular suspension, just trying to make it work. This is not a cheese build. This is just like basically a standard B-Class build, the best that we can do. And there was some sacrifices that had to be made to make it fit in the class and be somewhat competitive. It's not really competitive, but we tried. Iron Basic brakes, and we do run the Elite Platinum grip tires. Iron Basic clutch, but that's not that big of a deal because you are using the stock Sport Bronze 3-speed transmission. You're gonna run first and second for a lot of this. If you get into third, you're doing really good. For the differential, you guys, I run the Elite Platinum on all the builds, but you guys can get away with Super Gold, but you need to run at least Super Gold to make it all fit with the downforce and the handling slider and everything. Auxiliaries, only time I'm gonna touch on this, you need to reactivate them and basically go into this screen and touch this every time you use this car. If you change cars, all auxiliaries in all cars stop working until you go here and you reactivate them. I've talked about that in a separate video. And so if you're not going to reset your aux, don't even bother buying them. For the handling, we are 70% grip on this one. So slide the slider all the way to the left and then back it off 2. Steering sensitivity, that is personal preference. You do you. And then downforce all the way high. That's the only place that you are going to get B-Class 159. Everywhere else is going to be A-Class. So make sure you run that downforce all the way high and then get that 70% grip. That matters. Traction control and drift entry, that is you guys. What that's going to give you is the Bel Air B159 B-Class build. Top speed 140 eventually. It's got some horsepower, but it still doesn't get there as fast as I'd like. Horsepower is 538, torque is 679. So it's got enough to push, but not enough to really go as fast as I'd like. But overall, B-Class is probably the most lackluster out of the whole deal, other than maybe S+, dude. Because why would you put this car in S+? Let's move on to A. I've got a kind of a special build there. Let me show it to you guys. For the love of sweet baby Jesus, please follow along and at least look at the parts. I know that this is going to trip some people up, so just putting an asterisk in front of that. If you leave a comment in my YouTube that says, oh, Cornnut, I tried to build an A-Class and it doesn't work. I keep getting A+, 215, or some BS like that, it's because you just tried to take a screenshot and don't know colors. So let's go through this together. This build comes from my buddy Jordy George, one of the guys that he races with. Mahadi Hendricks is the guy's name. He runs this at A class, and it is spicy AF. Not for everybody, it is a drift build, but it is the craziest A-class car I can bring you. Absolute cheese machine. Let me show you what we have here. Buckle up, Buttercup, because it's a wild one. Alright, the engine that we use in this one is still the basic first engine, 4.3 liter V8, 162 brake horsepower when we start, and we do that times about 9. Going into the parts, it's Elite Platinum first 4, so you're going to buy everything out of the gate. Elite Platinum induction, ECU, fuel system, and exhaust. You're going to pair that to the Elite Platinum centrifugal supercharger. Typically we wouldn't do the Century, but we're at A-Class, and when we're pushing over 1,000 horsepower in A-Class, I just get Pista vibes. If you guys played in Volume 1, before they started patching stuff, we had over 1,000 horsepower Ferrari Pista in B-Class. It was wild. And we did the same thing at A. Anyway, centrifugal supercharger, Sport Bronze Nitrous. This is where we start to get the spice of life, boys. It is Elite Platinum off-road suspension, iron basic brakes, and then this is where everybody is going to get tripped up. Guarantee it. It is Pro Silver off-road tires. It's the only way to get this to fit in the class with all the power we've packed into it. If you do the golds, or if you do the Elite Platinums, it puts you into A+ class. That's where I get my 215 number from. Just watch. Somebody. It's always somebody. Anyway, iron basic clutch, and then you are going to run the Sport Bronze 3-speed transmission. Look how wild this car is, you guys. Like, if we start tearing up the transmission, it doesn't really do much with it, right? So, like, we get to keep that horsepower, and it's still going to be at A+ class. So you're like, So this is the A-Class build. You want to run the Elite Platinum diff. Wait till we get to A+. It's just going to be wild. And then for the handling, slide the slider all the way to the right. Full 60% drift with this one. And if you can slide the car, this is actually pretty fast. It's race tested. And the guys that Jordy races with, most of those guys are pretty fast. So I definitely can say this one is... It's so spicy. I'm not a very good drifter, so I couldn't harness the power. Steering sensitivity 2 clicks, and then downforce right in the middle. You can go higher if you want, but right in the middle is a 209. If you go anywhere further to the left, it takes you to A+. Traction control off, drift entry, that's brake tap for me. 165 top speed in A class, plenty of speed, plenty of power, 1094 on the horsepower, 1196 on the torque in foot-pounds. It is crazy. And you'll see that that power figure is going to match very similar to what we're going to get in A+. So I've got 4 builds there. Stay tuned. We got a lot to go through there, so let's go to it. Build 1 of 4 in A+ class. We're just going to fly through these. So this one is the same build essentially that we just did in A class with a few little changes. The engine is the same one, the iron basic 4.3 liter V8, 162 horsepower when we start. For the parts, it's Elite Platinum for the first 4, and then you're going to do the Elite Platinum single turbo. The single turbo is going to be a little bit better for the pickup on this one, and I couldn't get the other ones to fit. You can run Century, but that's worse. Turbo better. Sport Bronze bottle of nitrous. Elite Platinum road suspension. We're actually going to get back into Grippium with this one. You do get to put brakes. They were free, so Sport Bronze brakes, stopping, I guess. That'll be nice. And then you're going to run Elite Platinum grip tires. I do have an off-road build or 2 coming, so just we're going to flip-flop all over the place. And if you guys are drifters, just slide the slider to the right and let me know. We do run the iron basic clutch. And then for the transmission, it is the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission. So at least we've got some actual gears, maybe some better ratios, proper gear for the right corner, in theory. It's pretty spicy, but just by tearing up that transmission, you can see that it takes us well into S-Class by quite a lot, and so we do have a lot of power packed into this one. You definitely want to run the Elite Platinum diff, that way you get the right handling on the slider. Handling, slide the slider all the way to the left, full Beyonce, 80% grip. Steering sensitivity, I run 2 clicks high, and then downforce, run that all the way high if you want to have those brakes on there. The last 2 clicks are the only 2 spots that you're going to be able to get those brakes. Everything else is S-Class. So make sure you tear that downforce up. Everything else is you do you, Pikachu. What that's going to give you is the first of many A+, A269 builds, or A+, 177 for the top speed. It'll do about $180, maybe a little better than that with Redline Tech. 1098 on the horsepower, 1194 for the torque. Stats are good, transmission's good. Overall, this is a pretty competent build. But there was a lot of different cars with different engines that hit in A+, and so I just want to bring them all to you so that way you can decide what you want. Let's move on to build 2. Second build, almost identical. We just give it a little bit more on the low end in my opinion. So what we're running is the same engine, Iron Basic 4.3 liter V8, first engine in the stack. For the parts, we're making a rotation. We're changing from the turbo. We're going to put in the screw. By putting in the screw, we up our torque and its instant throttle response, so that's going to be better. You get to run an Elite Platinum bottle of nitrous. So now we're balling out of control in A+ class. This is where it gets spicy. It's full off-road build, so this is going to be long climb, Buena Vista, track day special, stuff of that nature, where you have some really good degen lines, where you go off-road. That's where you're going to use this, maybe more of a track specialist. So Elite Platinum off-road, free brakes, Sport Bronze brakes, cost you nothing to put them in there, and then Elite Platinum off-road tires. Keep the same clutch, Iron Basic, and then we're using the same transmission. It is the Sport Bronze 5-speed transmission. We've got the car maxed out. I can't put more power in it, so that's the highest transmission we can run because as soon as we tier up, we go well into S-Class. Elite Platinum differential, you definitely want it. Handling slider, all the way 60% grip. We're running off-road, so you're going to slide it all the way to the left, and it's kind of driftable. I don't know. It's a unique car, but there's so many different ways you can configure it in A+ that I think that it's going to be a different beast for each driver based on skill level and preference. So this is just kind of another one that you guys can go with. Do you? It's fucking nuts. Steering sensitivity 2 clicks high. Downforce, you can go anywhere you want in the slider. So I default to all the way low. Gives it a little bit better acceleration, but honestly, make it as rowdy as you want. So I'm running all the way low on this one. Traction control off, drift entry, brake tap. For the build 2 of the A+ class, 176 top speed. It'll do a little better than that with Redline Tech. Not quite as good as the previous build because the screw doesn't redline nearly as good as the turbo or the Sentry. Horsepower 1059. Torque, this is where we upped our number a lot. We are at 1218. So we have got a lot of power and torque crammed into this build for A+ class. And overall, the weight's not too bad compared to other cars like I talked about earlier in the video. This is something to try, honestly. I wouldn't build this car as an all-arounder, but for Buena Vista long climb track day, those specific tracks where you have some real good degen off-road stuff, this gets pretty spicy. Let's move on. I got another one in the stack. Third build in the stack for A+ class. This one's really not that great, but it's a different engine, and when I'm building everything and I see it fits in the class, I'm like, well, I'll throw it out there for you guys. It is the third engine over. It is the 5.0 liter V8, 585 brake horsepower when we start. For the parts, it's kind of the same thing here. It's Elite Platinum for the first 4, and then you're going to put the Elite Platinum Roots Supercharger. Sport Bronze Nitrous, Elite Platinum Road Suspension, Sport Bronze Brakes, Elite Platinum Grip Tires, Iron Basic Clutch, and then you're going to run the 3-speed Sport Bronze transmission. This one's a little unique because that 5.0 V8's got a lot higher redline than the other engine we've been using. So for that reason, if you tier up the transmission, it gets a lot higher top speed immediately. And so it takes it right into S+ class by just going from a 3 to a 4-speed tranny, which is kind of unique, but even still, it doesn't have the same power as the other builds, so I'd still do the other ones. Elite Platinum differential, that way you get that handling slider going. Slide the slider all the way to the left. Depends, yeah, to the left over here if you're watching. 80% grip. Steering sensitivity, I am running 2 clicks high as always. Downforce all the way high. You can go a little lower. It's like the last 2 clicks. Yeah, last 2 clicks. That is A269. And then you do you. Out of the gate though, it's only got 1007 horsepower and then 879 for the torque. So it's lesser numbers on both, but because this is a higher revving engine, the game calculates it a little different. It just seems to be a better car. Not really though, I really don't think this is the one. But I want to put it out there so that way if you guys already have this engine purchased, you can at least build on it and you've got something going. Let me show you the last setup in the stack for A+. New engine, new car, new day. So the last engine that we've got for you guys in the A+ class is going to be the 5.2 liter V8. It is the 4th engine over, so we count 1, 2, 3, and 4. 600 brake horsepower when we start, and we double it. It's Elite Platinum for the first 4, so you're spending a pretty penny on all of these motors, and then you're going to pair all of that with the Elite Platinum single turbo. You could do the Sentry, I guess, but none of the other setups work, and because they give so much extra torque. This one works because it has less torque but higher horsepower. It's a little better on the big end, but I still think that first build's the way to go. But I want to bring it to you guys. If you've already got the 5.2 built out, I'd throw this into A+ class with this setup. You are running Sport Bronze bottle of nitrous, and then the chassis is the same as the previous build. It is the Elite Platinum off-road, Elite Platinum road suspension. And then you get to run Sport Bronze brakes, Elite Platinum grip tires, Iron Basic clutch, and then we are staying with the 3-speed transmission. As soon as you hit it with the 4 or the 5, it takes it right into S+ class. And so that's the deal here. This car's got a really high red line in comparison to the very first engine. And so for that reason, as the gear ratios tier up, we are getting 175 out of the 3-speed. And the moment you click into giving it a 4th gear, which would be like an overdrive, it goes a lot faster. Elite Platinum diff, and then handling, 80% grip, slide it to the left, steering sensitivity, whatever, downforce all the way high. That's it. We're finally done with the A+ class. Your horsepower on this one is 1217. Your torque is 938. But with the single turbo, it only really clicks in kind of towards the top end. It's not bad. This is drivable. This car is not terrible. I still think the first 2 builds are probably my preference for A+ class, but this is something, and it is kind of spicy. It's got pretty good numbers on it. But let's dig into the S class. Let me show you what we've got there. S class is a bit different than all the rest of them because we've got a different engine for S class as well. So the engine we're using for the S-Class build is the 2nd engine over. It is the 7.2 liter V8, 390 brake horsepower when we start, and we go like ×3 on that one. So for the parts, it's Elite Platinum everything with Elite Platinum nitrous. So we are really just putting everything in this build to make it work in S-Class. So it's Elite Platinum induction, ECU, fuel system, and exhaust, mated to the Elite Platinum screw supercharger. The screw is going to be definitely the way to go on this one. You can put the turbo if you're chasing a little higher top speed, but I'd rather have the low end torque. And we're talking about 2 miles an hour, and with Redline Tech, you're going to get there anyway. So just stick the screw in it, be happy, smile on your face, go for it. Elite Platinum bottle of nitrous, that makes it a little nicer for S, so you can at least get off the line. Elite Platinum road suspension, as we do. You do get to put a little better brakes in it. We have extra points, so it's Silver Pro brakes. And then Elite Platinum grip tires. Now, like on a lot of these builds, guys, if you're a drifter, slap on the drift tires, slide the slider to the right, you'll have a couple extra points, put another part in it, whatever. But for this, the engine is maxed out. You cannot get more power out of it. For you automatic guys, this might be a little better build for you because you get to put the Elite Platinum clutch. We had extra points. The clutch was the best fit. The reason I went with this build is because it had crazy horsepower and crazy torque for S class, so it accelerates the best that this chassis is going to accelerate, and overall the top speed isn't terrible for S class, so it does okay. You do run the Sport Bronze 4-speed transmission. I tried really hard to make the 5-speed fit, but it just, with the red lines of the engines and stuff, as soon as you put a higher tier transmission in it, you're just in S+, you just live there. And so the 4-speed is what we've got in this build. And then you want to put the Elite Platinum diff in there, absolutely. That way you get that handling slider. Slide that handling slider all the way to the left, 80% grip, steering sensitivity, whatever you want. And then downforce, I run all the way high. You can do the last couple of clicks. Oh, no, I forgot. Excuse me. You can't do the last click to the left. Anywhere else is S329. So if you want to run it low, you can run it high, whatever your preference is there. Those are minute changes. Most people won't even notice, but some of us do. So that's there. Traction control off, drift entry, brake tap. This one's a little spicy. 182 is your top speed. It'll do better than that with Redline Tech. You can maybe expect maybe 185 out of it, which is a little slow for S-Class, but we're running the Bel Air, so whatever. 1201 on the horsepower and 1308 on the torque. That is why I've got this engine selected, because you really do have the most power packed into it, which helps it get off the line, get out of the corners, and just be somewhat competitive. It's not great at S, but this is the best S-Class car that I can build for you in this chassis. Alright, let's go to S+. Woo! We're taking the kid gloves off! Get the pads off, boys! Put the crash helmets on! It's time for S+, dude! Let's go! Wow! We've got the Bel Air! It's the best car in S-Class today! S+ class tomorrow! X-Class the day after tomorrow when the world ends. We're ready to go, boys. So, for the power that we're packing in this motherfucker, it's stacked from the floor up. It's the exact same power as S-Class. Go figure. Anyway, we're out here. The engine that we're using, dude, is this 7.2 liter V8. Tore up from the floor up. We've got it all, and I built them all, baby, all the way out. The reason we use this engine is because, obviously, more numbers, more better, same as S-Class. So, obviously, we're going to build it into S+, because that's what we do. Anyway, we move on. All the parts, you guessed it, we bought them all. Elite Platinum, everything. From everywhere. I went to the bank, I robbed the bank. I went to the jewelry store, I told them make me a grill. They're like, dude, I got you this Bel Air. I'm like, thanks, homie, I love it. So Elite Platinum induction, Elite Platinum ECU, got the super chip in there, dude. We got the fuel system, we've got the exhaust, we've got the screw supercharger, but screw it, you don't even need the supercharger. You're gonna get a turbo, dude. Turbo better, lesser number, but turbo always better. Or no, dude, get the twin snails, the Wu-Tang whistles. Woo! Get it going. It's going to be awesome, dude. Just drop it on the rice patties. These motherfuckers don't know what's going on. Out here, we've got the Elite Platinum bottle of nitrous. Hit the squeeze. We on our way, homies. Elite Platinum road suspension, because this thing is on the road all the time. Tarmac champion of the day. We've got the brakes, so that way we can slow down. So when we see bitches, we can be like, what's up, ladies? How are you doing? And they'll be like, man, why are you wearing a helmet? And be like, well, let me tell you, I took the kid gloves off and I put on my helmet because we got a really good one here, dudes. And then we've got the Elite Platinum grip tires. Grip it and rip it, homies. Elite Platinum clutch, it's what we do. 6-speed transmission, the first time we've used it in any of the builds. Pro Silver, oh my god, more numbers, more better, more gears, more speed. It's a calculation. I didn't come up with it, but I know it's true because I saw it in a video once. Elite Platinum differential, because you need all the grip. Auxiliaries, you won't equip them, it doesn't matter. Handling, fuck it, you do whatever you like. Go grip, go slip, go drift, go in the middle. You know what, this is a middle of the road car. Lowers the number, oh, we can't do that, we gotta go all the way grip. Higher number, more better, definitely better. Low downforce, all the way. More speed. Steering sensitivity, all the way high. We turn it all the way up. We're so sensitive, we're just soft and gentle on the inside. Traction control is off, drift entry is brake tap. S+ Bel Air. 231 for your top speed, maybe. 1200 for the horsepower, 1289 for the torque. Do you, Pikachu? It doesn't matter what you do. This car is not good at S+ class. Guys, thank you so much for watching. S+ is turning into a meme at this point, and I'm going to meme it into infinity. And I'm thankful to you guys for watching and hanging out. Everybody have a great rest of your day. Like the video if you haven't yet. See you next time.